Hey, Francesca, how did you like them rocks? Internet, my name is Peridiam, and welcome to the greatest returning players in Survivor. First and foremost, if you haven't seen the most disappointing returning players list, check it out. It's rife with disappointment, because I will reiterate that over 100 people have returned to play the game, some of them up to 5 times. And I figured, we often talk about the worst of the worst, you know, the ones who just really disappoint us on those all-star seasons. But with such shame and infamy comes the other side of the coin as well. Like this script, the players who blew me away, who captured that lightning in a bottle. Whether it's their second time or their fourth or fifth, here are my top 10 greatest returning players, for various reasons. Now let it be said, I didn't put together my top 10 based solely on gameplay. Don't get me wrong, gameplay will go a long way, but I need a good story, a reinvention of their journey, building upon the past, something more than before. I need to be excited, engaged. Sorry, what was that, Rob? You wanted to say something?
If you don't mind, I'd like to say something to her. You're the most amazing person I've ever met in my entire life. And I want to spend the rest of my life with her. I love you with all my heart. Will you marry me?
Well, that's certainly a way to get me engaged. You know what? Probably the best segue I'll ever have in a video. The first 2 of the greatest returning players in Survivor are from Season 8 All-Stars, and what do you know? I am talking about Boston Rob and Amber. Romber. And yes, I'm including Amber because she not only won the first returning season, but is half the duo. Rob doesn't get away with a lot of his game if it isn't for Amber, especially that proposal at the reunion, unless Big Tom's interested. Both Rob and Amber defined what it means to be a great returning Survivor player. They absolutely stole the show and made it their own, kicked everyone's asses, and took home both the $1 million check and the runner-up check. Bank heist of the century. They gotta be on the list. And also, Rob did go on to win his own season many years later, season 22 Redemption Island, so while I'm not really talking much about that performance, consider it included in this Boston Rob entry.
I came into this game and within the first couple of minutes, Rob and I had formed an alliance.
We came as far as we can. It's not up to us anymore. Everything we did it by the book.
It's over and done with.
I mean, in a game where trust is fleeting, to have a partnership with someone, an alliance with someone that you can trust, that's huge.
That's actually something I should mention right now. Many players have had great return appearances more than once. So to include as many players as possible in this top 10, I am going to be consolidating a player into one entry. And then I will let you know if there's more than one season I'm considering when I talk about a player. For example, the next player on this list put up a great return appearance on both season 16 Micronesia and season 34 Game Changers. And that's Suri, the woman who admittedly got off the sofa and flew out to Panama to conquer her fear of leaves. Also one of the greatest players in Survivor history. Suri has accolades for days, and this video would be tragic without her. She almost won in season 12, then returned in season 16 and also almost won, reaching the final 3 only to get shortchanged by a random final 2 at the last second. Had that season ended with a final 3, she likely would have won, although it's probably a close 3-2-2 vote. She was also part of the notorious and most deadly Black Widow Brigade. She was the swing vote for the favorites tribe. She became a hero and a game changer. In season 34, she returned to play the modern game and proved to be quite lethal still, reaching the final 6 and being the only player in Survivor to get voted out without a single vote cast her way. If you've ever wondered what happens at Tribal Council when every player has some sort of immunity, the answer? Suri gets voted out. Doesn't matter the season. Her greatness knows no bounds.
People at home watching identify with me. I'm like the person at home watching on the couch, remember? I was the couch potato.
My mother always told me, you may not be able to beat him with these all the time, but you can always beat him with this.
You want to say it?
The tribe has spoken.
And speaking of the Black Widows, let's talk about another. Arguably the leader, Parvati, who first played on Season 13 Cook Islands, and then returned to win the game on Season 16 Micronesia. I've talked a lot about Parvati over the years. One of my favorite winners. Knows how to charm anyone around her. She worked her way out of several sticky situations, only to form one of the strongest alliances that would carry her in one of those chariot type things to the finish line. And then, if that wasn't enough, when Parvati returned in Season 20 Heroes vs. Villains, she was regularly considered the biggest threat to everyone's game. And yet, despite being targeted right away, again, for a second season, she went all the way to the end and nearly won, only coming 2 votes short of being the first 2-time winner. And since Parv's electric third appearance, so many players have been labeled as the next version of Parvati, and thus they gotta take them out before they all end up like the cast of Season 20 who didn't take out Parv. And amusingly, in Micronesia, the season that she won, Parvati is kind of like the Amber 2.0 of Survivor history, which makes me wonder if there ever really will be a 3.0 version. It's pretty rare for lightning to strike twice in the same spot, and something tells me we might be waiting a while.
Coming back, I'm playing really aggressively, and pretty much no holds barred for me. I'm playing smart this time. Like, I want to make the right alliances with people that I know I can trust.
Grabbing my coattails.
I don't like coattails, baby. I don't.
But what we're not waiting for is the 5th greatest returning player, and when I spoke about Parvati losing on Season 20, what I failed to mention was that she also lost to this next player. The first 2-time winner in Survivor, Sandra, who first won on Season 7 Pearl Islands and then returned on Season 20 Heroes vs. Villains, is number 5 of my top 10, and the stats speak for themselves. Winning twice back-to-back is a once in a 39 seasons ordeal. It clearly doesn't happen very often, and so I would be remiss to not include Sandra. But numbers aren't everything. Her anyone but me approach to the game often leaves her filling in the gaps of other players' strategies, and both times she won, she was overlooked and underestimated and proved a lot of naysayers wrong. Sandra is one of the show's greatest characters. She doesn't put up with anyone, and she's gone toe-to-toe with 2 of the greatest villains in over 40 seasons. She is considered the queen of Survivor, and if that isn't greatness, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Last time I was mean, and this time I'm meaner. You know, I'll lie, I don't care. But I'll make up a good lie.
I'll write your name again, and if I'm up there in the final 3, you'll still give me the $1 million rope.
I'm honored that I get to write your name down again and give you $1 million. Love you.
The name of the game is Returning Players, and it would be impossible to ignore the next winner from Season 31, Cambodia, when Jeremy returned for a second chance at becoming the sole survivor. Not only is Jeremy a great player, but as far as return appearances goes, Cambodia is all about players returning one more time. And given how strategically complex and complicated the game was that season, with the constant voting blocks, shifting alliances, multiple swaps, largest merge ever, a tribal council where no votes counted, where Jeremy played 2 idols throughout the season and then went on to win 10-0 in the jury vote. Whew, gotta catch my breath. Yeah, Jeremy was an easy inclusion in this top 10, and I don't think I need to say much more.
I want the money for Val more than for me. Like, I just need to go through this again. I'm back for some redemption. I didn't leave this long for nothing. Oh, man, can't lose this. This is right there. It's so close. I surrounded myself with the right people at the right time. And even up to the end, I feel really good.
I gotta finish this game, get that money, and bring it home for my family.
But let's keep talking about Cambodia, because there's another player from it that I want to include in this top 10. They didn't win, clearly, but they came close, and had they been given the opportunity to pitch their case to the jury, I think they would have scrounged up more than, let me check my notes, 0 collective votes than either Tasha or Spencer put up. I am talking, of course, about Kelly Wentworth, a woman who went from being kind of a nobody on her first season, San Juan del Sur, to returning a couple seasons later and putting up a hell of a performance. She was a big question mark going in, and if you ever want to know what it looks like to go from 0 to hero in Survivor, this narrative arc is a good place to start. Kelly found an idol in the premiere at the challenge, which would later get used in one of the greatest idol plays we've ever seen. Similar to Jeremy, she found a second idol and also protected herself at the final 6, contributing to that madness. Kelly entered the merge on the bottom and avoided being taken out until the final 4, where she was one challenge away from giving us one of the greatest underdog return performances ever. How she squeaked by in that season, in that merge, should be studied. And I think she's justifiably in this top 10.
Everyone's trying to get to the end to win $1 million, but right now it's all about staying alive. I may be on the bottom, but I'm not ready to go home yet.
This is a hidden immunity item. Unbelievable.
It's not over till it's over. It's time to go to work.
But you know what they say, variety is the spice of life. Let's get a spicier take. Number 8 on my list goes to a player who sorta almost won the game twice, who is an underrated challenge beast, a social threat, and ultimately the only returning player who was never medevaced or quit or voted out. Yup, Michelle is the only returning player as of this video to covet that unique achievement. And so when I looked at the field and considered who to include and who to cut, or maybe save for a 2.0 video, I spent a lot of time reminding myself of that. Michelle was a controversial winner on season 32 and then returned in season 40 Winners at War, the all-winner season. She did have a low profile going in and wasn't a massive threat all things considered, but like I said at the top of the video, I'm not just here for the gameplay. Sign me up for the experience too. One of the main characters of this season, following her from the early days at Cele to the swap with Parvati and Wendell to the merge where she was at the bottom right away to somehow surviving similar to Kelly Wentworth. Michelle won key challenges at the right time, and although she ultimately struggled to find a jury vote at the end, since watching that season, her journey to get to that point has just always stood out to me. Not every player is gonna put up a winning game on every return, and just the same, I don't believe greatness should be measured just by the numbers.
I've been on the bottom, constantly having to fight my way out of it. And now here I am again in the final 3. And I feel like this has closed a wound that has been open for me for a while. I want to prove to all those people who doubt me, I did deserve my first season. It wasn't a fluke. I'm a good player, and I do belong here with the best of the best.
For number 9, let's talk about Cops Are Us, the famous duo that began on season 28 Cagayan between Sarah and Tony, where we then saw both of them return on season 34 Game Changers, and then one more time on season 40 Winners at War. Now I said we're going to be talking about number 9, which means that's only going to be one person, and if I had to pick between the two of them as to which should make this list at number 9, I gotta give it to Sarah. Obviously. I mean, have you seen Game Changers? That stacked cast with Caleb and Haley and fan favorite game changer Sarah Dawn Thomas Anglem? Hey, don't laugh. Put some respect on Haley's name. No, I'm gonna walk that back. Sarah was wild on Game Changers. She threaded the needle between two unstable alliances at the merge, ping-ponging back and forth like a machine running on disloyalty and a desire to crush dreams. Sarah had no loyalty to anyone but herself, and this season she went all out. She made bargains out of real-life sentimental jewelry, she blindsided players only for them to reward her for it in the same episode. She didn't even win a single immunity challenge, yet had everyone eating out of the palm of her hand. I mean, she was the swing vote, she pretended to be loyal to everyone, so why wouldn't they? Sarah is number 9, and it's really her gameplay that solidified her spot here. How she changed her tempo dramatically going into this season. Especially given she does another great job on season 40 and nearly becomes the second 2-time winner in the history of the show.
You're my it girl out here.
Sierra.
I will be giving it to Sarah.
It worked. I deserve to be a game changer. I want a battle at the end. And I want to teach my son, your mom's not scared to go against the threats because I believe I can beat them.
But see, that's the difference between being at the top and being close to the top, between arbitrarily being number 9 and saving the best for last. I hope you didn't actually buy what I just sold you a few minutes ago about Cops Are Us, because the final greatest returning player is none other than Tony from season 40, Winners at War. He won twice in a season of all winners. There will never be a more stacked cast of players ever, and yet, despite Tony having a big target on himself going in, being considered an erratic, disloyal, hyperactive player who was tricky to trust, despite never having won an immunity challenge, Tony went on to win 4 of them. Tony went on to outplay all of the winners on the cast, and Tony went on to win with such totality that a majority of the jury didn't even want to risk voting for Michelle because they feared it might cost Tony the win. I mean, Yeah, Tony is the king of Survivor. His return on season 40 is one of the greatest ever, and if there was ever a player to end this video with, it had to be him.
Everybody has their own specialty on what they're focused on. They're good at challenges, they're good at the social game, they're good at the strategic game. But me, I do a little of everything. If I can pull this off and get that $2 million at the end, and they crown me the king of Survivor, and I sit in Sandra's throne, the queen, I sit in her throne and I have the crown on. What?
And those are what I consider to be the top 10 greatest returning players in Survivor. But that's just my top 10. Let me know some of yours. If the disappointing returning players video was anything to go by, you probably are gonna have some disagreements, and that's okay. There is more than plenty to talk about. Maybe I will keep talking about them one day. Either way, thank you to my patrons for all your support, for dignifying me with your greatness upon each of your returns. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave your mark on your way out. Hey, you know what? I noticed you're peeing on the fire again. Pee on the fire all you want. You won $1 million. And I will see you in the next one, once I build a ladder tall enough to reach the top of the metal podium. What? It's called gaming the system. I'm building a spy bunker. Call it a spy loft.
Go left, right, left, right.
Don't break my ladder, guys, please.
I am so nervous.
No, don't be nervous. No, don't worry, guys. Don't worry. It's designed to be like this. Can somebody boost me up? Tony.
Are you okay?